Greetings and God bless. Welcome to another episode of Pastor Mike, Dynamic Voices for a Diverse Church, powered by The Witness, a Black Christian collective. I'm your host, Tyler Burns. You can follow me on Instagram and X at Burns Clan. Please follow at your own risk. And joining me, as always, is the founder of The Witness, the founder of Pastor Mike. He has a very extensive bio. He is the man, the myth, the legend, the three-time best-selling author. He is the Harvard College speaker. He is Mr. Blue Check Verified himself. You can follow his writings at jamartisby.substack.com. Dr. Jamar Tisby, what's going on, brother?
I don't know how you determine bestseller status. I think the Tyler Burns bestseller list is a little bit different, but I'll take it.
Just go with it. Just go with it.
Yeah, man.
What's going on, bro? You at Harvard? You at all over the map, man?
Yeah, that was fun. This thing came up like out of the blue. It threw a DM, and at the last minute, it was like within a week from initial invitation to execution.
Wow.
And I went and I was nervous, bro, because I mean it's Harvard, it's an executive education course, and these are like not undergrad students. These are executives in major corporations internationally well as in the US. That's incredible. And I chose to talk about all the things you're not supposed to talk about. Race, religion, and politics. So I was like, I have no idea about this audience, how they're going to respond. It was more subdued than I expected.
Sure.
Like there weren't a whole lot of questions or discussion. Also, it was the session right after lunch.
Oh, so, of course. You know how that is.
People are just struggling. I did my best, but I don't know how they received it. I hope it was helpful, but at the end of the day, it was just one of those, boxes that I wanted to check, and
That's
I'm glad
incredible.
it happened. Yeah,
I know it's surreal walking down, the campus and like walking in. That's incredible, bro.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
You've been traveling. What you been up to?
Man, I have the wildest travel stories. I wish I could put all my travel stories into a little pamphlet.
We could do a whole episode on travel
stories, bro.
But tell me, did something happen recently?
Something happened recently. About a month ago, I was traveling to LA. I was actually with my wife, Marlena.
You went to LA and you didn't even tell me. Okay.
Hey, listen, man. It was just a little. It was a little, just a little
fun trip.
Nah. It was work. It was work. Church development stuff. Then some work that I did in the second half of the week. But so we landed LAX, and y'all know LAX is kind of wild. If you've ever been there, it's all over the place. We go to get a Turo, which is a peer-to-peer rental. So you got to go through a whole system to go on the outside. This is not sponsored by Turo, but if you want to, they'll hit us up. And so we go to the outside parking lot where they have everything set up, and you have to pay to get out, right? Because they pay for parking, so you got to pay to get out. And I reach in to get my wallet. And I'm like, hey, do you have my wallet? And she was like, no, I don't have your wallet. So I'm scrounging through my bag, turn my bag inside out, just sitting right there. People are behind me, everybody's waiting. And I realized, like, it clicked in my head. I was asleep on the plane, the last plane coming into LAX. And I remember something, I thought I heard something fall.
Yeah.
But I didn't really say anything of it because, it didn't register because I was, in and out, sleeping. And then I realized, oh, snap, it was my wallet. So luckily, we were able to pull around. We had some cash on us, so we were able to pay by cash on a whole other side of the parking lot. And I'm thinking in my head, like, how quickly can we get this going? Because I got to get back to LAX. I got to get back to the airport. So I get back in. I sprint inside to the Delta place. And, this is one of the reasons why I fly Spirit. And one of the reasons why I fly Spirit is because I get 5-star service every time I fly Spirit. And y'all think I'm playing. Okay. But Spirit gives me what I expect Spirit to give me. I expect, if I have low expectations for you and you deliver, that's straight with me. If I have high expectations for you and you shoot lower than them, now, I'm going to tell you, Delta started cool. They started cool. Like, it was dope, man. They helped me out. They called the people. I knew what seat I was in. I knew what plane I was on. I was prepared. I was like, yo, is this plane? Is this seat? Is this gate? And the guy really tried to help me. And unfortunately, the plane had already taken off. I had already filled out a lost item report. I had done all this stuff just immediately. And so I spent a week in LA.
Without your wallet,
no ID. So all I had was passport and Apple Pay, bro. That's all I had, you know. And so, God yet provided.
Well, that was fortunate that you had the passport with you,
bro.
Too.
That was God, because I would be stuck. Yeah. Now, as I sit here today, that's about a month ago. As I sit here today, for a number of different reasons, I don't have a wallet still. Now, let me tell you what's interesting about this. So I get a call in mid-September saying, hey, we found your wallet. And I'm thinking, yo, this been a long time, you know? And she says, yeah, we found it 2 days after you lost it, right? So she gave me the date, and I knew that was 2 days after I lost it. So I'm like, how all this time has passed?
What y'all been doing?
And she said, hey, we sent an email to this email address. I'm like, that's not even my name. I don't even know how y'all got that email address. I think it was connected to an organization I used to be with. So I was like, nah, dog, like that's not me. So I give her the updated email, and she says, okay, we'll send you the email, and then you can fill out the shipping information. We'll send you the wallet. I'm thinking in my head, this is going to be a great sermon illustration. Like, I'm thinking this is going to be good. He may not come when you want him. He's always on time. You know what I'm saying? My mind thinks in sermons. So I was just like, yo, like, this is going to be great. So I was waiting for it that day. Didn't come. Checked my spam. Didn't come. One day turns into 2, then 3, then 4, then 5. And then I'm like, yo, I got to call them first thing next week. There was a holiday, and then the next day, I called them. It had been a week. And man, when I tell you, it was impossible to get them on the line.
You couldn't even get a real
I couldn't get a real human being on the line. It just kept being automated. I kept saying, you know what black people say whenever they want to talk to somebody? Representative. You just interrupt them. Representative.
Real loud and clear.
Representative. That's all I said. I could not get on the phone with somebody. They would not talk to me. And then finally, after about the 7th number, I get on the phone with somebody. She has no clue. She doesn't realize I filled out a lost item report. But she gives a great suggestion of call the office in the city where they said they found it and just see. Yeah. So I did. They're looking at me funny. They're like, basically on the phone, they're like, well, I don't think we have a wallet that matches that description. Well, can I get your email? Give her my email. Next lady, same thing. I don't think I have a wallet. Let me get your email.
They just keep transferring.
They keep transferring me or putting the phone down. Someone else comes and grabs it. And then finally a lady says, sir, that was 7 days ago. Like, it's probably at the warehouse. And I'm like, ma'am, y'all said y'all were going to send me an email. Like, you said you were going to send me an email. I never got it. How am I supposed to follow up with y'all to do what you said you were going to do? And, I said, this is really distressing. Like, I've been on the phone all morning trying to find this thing. Yeah. And then she says, she made the mistake. Y'all, I'm a chill person. I want y'all to understand. I seem intense on the podcast. I'm chill, I promise. She says, sir, but you lost the wallet, not us. And I said, yo. I paused. I was like, I told somebody, I was like, what did you say? And I was upset, man. I emailed corporate, everything, didn't think anything was going to come of it. So as we record this podcast this morning, I got the notification that I got my wallet. They found my wallet. I got it overnighted. I'm like, I'm not taking any chances.
Wow. Yay.
So, so I'm going to get my wallet hopefully in the next couple of days. I'm praying.
It's in the mail.
And you know what's funny, man? As I got that email, I thought about how much I had to go through to get back something that meant a lot to me. And it made me think about my life. It made me think about how so many of our stories over the past really 4 to 5 years, maybe, man, we could take it back 8 years. Maybe we could take it back 10 or 11 years. Maybe we take it back 12 years to 2012. Like, we've lost so much in that time. And how hard it is to get back that which you've lost. I was thinking about that principle, man, like that principle of Sankofa. Like, it's not wrong to go back and get what you've forgotten. And I'm thinking, man, like, but it's not easy. You know how it feels like over the past 10 years, and this is what the podcast was really created out of. Pastor Mike was created out of this feeling of loss, of pain, loss of place, loss of church space, loss of theological affiliation, loss of our own humanity, loss of our own peace. And it feels like, bro, not only have we lost something, it feels like it's never coming back. And I thought about that. I was like, man, I had given it up. I said, whatever it is I've lost, I wonder how many people are just like, well, it's gone. There's no way to get it back. Whatever it is that they feel like they've lost.
Whatever it is that they feel like they've lost. Yeah, when you mentioned Pass the Mic and the sense of loss, I definitely remember us. It's interesting. Both the juxtaposition of lost and found. So
yeah, come on now.
I feel like we lost a place that we thought we had.
Yes.
But in that feeling of lostness, we found something else. We found our voices on this podcast. Yeah. We found a community. And so in a sense, I think that's a little bit different, right? Like there was a loss of something that probably we shouldn't try to recover. And then we free ourselves up to find stuff. But I also hear what you're saying. There is a loss of some things that are valuable.
And this is the amazing thing, right? In that moment, I felt like she was blaming me for something I didn't really have ultimately control over. Like I was asleep, And I felt like, yeah, sure, I could have probably put it in a different place. I could have, but I've been on, I don't know how many planes. Mm-hmm. I've traveled, I don't know how many times. I've never lost my wallet. Mm-hmm. And, in that moment, it felt like, I was like, yo, this is what it feels like when they're like, well, it's not our fault. Like, you're the one who started talking about this. You're the one who started, like, it just triggered for me like, oh, snap.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, wow, you're blaming me. And all I want is just to get back the thing that's so valuable to me. And I even told her this. I was like, do you realize how much value is in this? Like, do you realize how much value is in what I'm holding, what I'm hoping for, what I'm trying to hold on to? And I think there's a lot of people that have navigated, especially in the Black Christian space, in the justice space, whatever it is, who have like valued something so deeply, and people tell them, well, it's your fault. You don't have it anymore. It's you. You're the one who shifted theologically. You're the one who did. You're the one who said this. Yes, you're the one who keeps. You create division. You sow dissension. You do all this, whatever buzzwords they want to make. And we lose such profound things and then get blamed for it.
It was that loss of community, right? That at least I was experiencing over that past 12 years. And to your point, it's like, well, it's your fault you lost it because you're speaking up about race. You're speaking up about history. You're speaking up about injustice. And I'm like, what did you just say to me? You know what I mean? But the other thing that strikes me about that story that you had is your tenacity. You didn't give up on recovering what was valuable, even when obstacles were in your way. So I think when we talk about that principle of Sankofa, going back to retrieve what's behind us in order to move forward, what we don't often talk about is how difficult that is.
Bro. I think people, I heard, I know I can't physically hear it, but I heard amens. I heard amens from people who are listening, because literally the obstacles that are put in our place just to stay mentally stable, just to stay healthy, just to stay at peace, just to stay emotionally regulated. Like just to even be able to be an integrated, full Black Christian man in the midst of, oh, this is your fault. Oh, okay. I had it. And what comes up so often is these little moments of you get close to somebody or you feel like, oh, this could be a friend, like this. And then it comes back. And then you're like, oh, snap. Like I can't get, no. And you got to calibrate and brace yourself for when we talk about this. Are you going to eject, evacuate, keep me at an arm's length now, go back on your promises? Like, it feels like there's these moments of re-traumatization in the midst of your journey to go back. It almost sets you back to say, oh, okay, I might as well just give up on all this.
My. Well, we need to talk more about that.
We need to talk more about what tenacity requires. We'll be right back here on Pass the Mic. Well, greetings and God bless, family. This is your host of Pass the Mic, Tyler Burns, and I am so excited that we're still doing Pass the Mic 11 years after we started. Think about this. 11 years after we started, we're still doing this. And the reason why we can do it is because people like you have supported us from the beginning. We would not still be here if not for the support of people who are our patrons. And if you go to patreon.com/passthemic, if this podcast has helped you in any way, shape, or form, if we've encouraged you to think more deeply about race and justice, if we've inspired you to make change right where you are, if we've been an oasis in the desert in the midst of toxic church spaces, we need your help. We need your support. For just a few dollars every single month, you can keep us going. You literally, as our listeners, keep us going. So head to patreon.com/passthemic. We're passing the mic to you for your support so that we can continue doing this podcast that so many people love. Thank you so much for your support. If you are already a patron, and if you're not, just a few dollars a month. Thank you so much. So Jamar, I want to talk about this idea of tenacity. So you mentioned this idea of tenacity, like what it requires, and what does tenacity look like for Black Christian resistance, Black Christian liberation. The essence of this podcast is it was built on this sense of, for lack of a better phrase, you won't break our soul. It was built on this idea. You're not gonna break us.
Yeah.
But not at the expense of the feeling of brokenness. So we're telling people outside, you won't break us, but we're feeling broken.
Absolutely.
So I feel like it's that duality of tenacity and you're in deep, deep pain at the same time.
I mean, the way I think about tenacity and recovery is at least on two levels, history and healing. So a lot of the work that I do is recovering our history. One of the most frequent refrains that I hear from people is, they never taught me this. I never learned this.
Yes.
So there's a sense in which history, which I really think is connected to identity, it's what shapes who we are today. That's been taken from us. I mean, on a real deep level, like being disconnected from the continent of Africa, literally disconnected from our ancestors and our historical lineage. I remember going to Benin in West Africa with a group, and we toured all around the country, but on one particular day, we went to the coast. And it's one of those places that several countries on the West Coast have. It's called a door of no return.
Yes.
And the idea is it was a slave port. And it would have been, for many of our African ancestors, the last time they glimpsed the continent before sailing across the ocean in the Middle Passage. And I was not prepared for the moment of recovery that represented.
Wow.
I just got to the shore, and we were there as a group, but I kind of wandered off on my own, and it just hit me like one of the waves that I was watching of the Atlantic Ocean. And I literally sat down, breathless.
Yeah.
I was like, I have no certainty, but it is entirely possible. One of my ancestors was on that very beach, and that's on the other side of the Atlantic Ocean, and then all the way across in what became the United States of America. There's a whole other story being written. That recovery required me to go across an ocean with a group, tour this nation to finally get to that beach and that point. So we don't talk about the tenacity required or the heartache. There's the brokenness that you're talking about.
As I was thinking about, as you were telling that story, I was thinking about this idea of, and it sounds self-serving, but I think it's good for us to hear. We are a special people. We are special people, bro. We are the type of people that won't stop at whippings and beatings and family separation and lynchings and Jim Crow and black codes and dogs and hoses and KKK and racist police. You can't, we won't stop.
Right.
Like bury us and we'll bloom.
Bro, this is what I'm talking about. The subtitle, The Spirit of Justice, True Stories of Faith, Race, and Resistance. I often in my mind get that last word confused. It's resistance on the cover, but in my mind, it's also resilience.
Yes.
And I say in the book, nothing can stop a people who simply won't quit.
Nothing, bro. We're special people.
We just don't quit. And that's what gives us a wisdom and an insight about justice. We've been victimized. We've experienced it. We've overcome it. We've worked through it. We're still enduring it. And guess what? We learn.
And what's wild though is we have to be the special people of resistance and resilience. But we can't deny we're just feeling so tired and broken and angry and empty and weak and in grief. And we don't have the luxury often of sitting to grieve.
No.
We have to grieve in motion.
Grieve and walk, yeah.
And this is not even speaking of our lives. This is not even speaking of real life stuff we have to deal with within our families, within our churches, within our cities.
Staying on the phone all morning just to get a real human person. And
just to get a real human person, just so I can, the little things that it's just like, yo, this is part of life, but also the life is on top of all the things that I feel like I've lost and I've had to grieve.
So that's the other one, history and healing. So I've been on like this healing journey the past year and a half, almost 2 years since we moved to Louisville. And just that change of scenery and setting, I was like, okay, bet this is a time when I can turn a corner, when I can work on all these things that I've been meaning to work on, but it's so hard to in a place like the Delta, which has been disinvested and under-resourced for so long. And so that has entailed therapy, of course. It's entailed a yoga and breath work coach. It's entailed a mindset coach.
Yes.
It's entailed journaling. It's entailed meditative walks. It's entailed doing things that feel selfish, but are really just healthy.
Yeah.
And what I'm getting at here is the amount of work it takes to recover what was lost, a peace of mind, a centeredness, a resilience, right? And more I'm convinced of two things. Number one, what we're seeking is not so much something that we've never yet grasped or experienced, but a going back to excavate and unearth what's already there.
That's it.
So much of it's going back to our childhood. So much of it's uncovering who we are before the world placed all of these expectations on us, who God made us to be, and in the quiet places, who we know we truly are. But because of fear, because of trauma, because of all of these things, it gets covered up. So that's one thing. The other thing that I'm coming to notice is that work takes a lot of space, way more space than we allow. So we're talking about the effort it took you just to recover your wallet, right? Now imagine the effort it takes us to recover our souls and our wholeness. And I think more and more that we ought to be, this is not the right word, but this is how it feels for a people who are so used to giving and grieving at the same time. We have to do a lot of things that seem selfish.
Yeah. Okay. So now you gonna put me out on blast.
All right. Go ahead. Yeah,
bro. Like, nah. I feel like this speaks to me. Like, this really does, because I think we have these internal scripts in our minds that, in order to get something valuable, we have to be able to show up for everybody else before we show up for ourselves. Yes. We have to be able to serve everybody else before we make sure we're served and taken care of. And it's the great misnomer and lie, the conditioning that be great for everybody else, but not for yourself. You know, make sure everybody else is healthy.
We leave for ourselves the leftovers.
Yeah.
When we should be giving ourselves the main course, because that will allow us to serve other people. And I talked about this on the pod before. Shaniqua Walker Barnes, who's written some incredible books on this. And but it wasn't through her books that this lesson came to me. It was through her actions. So we were at a conference where we were both presenting. And she was only there for a short time. She could have fit everything in a carry-on. She brought a checked bag because she said, I need my tea set. I need my scents. I need my cloths. All of these things for self-care, even when she was on the road. And to me, I just sat back like, whoa, that's a level of self-care. That's a level of I know what I need and nothing's going to disrupt it that I just had not seen in person before. And what it told me was, oh, wow, like you really do need to put your own oxygen mask on first before assisting others. And this is what it looks like. It's not just the once a week therapy or every 2 weeks. It's not just the intention to say, you know, I got to do better. I got to heal. It is actually being like, because I need all of these. Let me make it concrete. What I've been doing in this especially busy season with the book launch, election season, teaching, other stuff that's going on with home and health and all of this stuff, it has been one of the most stressful seasons of my life that I can remember. Mm-hmm. Like literally my eye twitches from stress and exhaustion so much. And the only way I'm even to be on this mic is because I have a morning routine that routinely takes 2 to 3 hours.
Yeah. And you did it this morning.
and I used to feel so like, oh, I can't do this. I've got too much work to do. I got to get XYZ done. And I realized experientially for maybe the first time in my adult life, like, no, actually, you don't have time for all this work because you have to do all this work for yourself, on yourself. And the work is what fits around the work you need to do on you. And for my whole life, it's been a reverse. It's a daily struggle, right? But still, does that any of that?
That makes total sense.
I'm just trying to say, it's like a total paradigm shift.
Yeah. But I feel like we don't talk enough about this in the context of Black Christian engagement, Black Christian thought, Black Christian theology. And we talk about it as what we need to do, what we need to fight against, how we need to overcome. And it's like,
you telling it.
Actually, how deeply do we need to rest? Like, how holistically do we need to grieve? Like, how much do we need to show up for ourselves as we think about showing up for the world, as we think about fighting principalities and powers and rulers of darkness, spiritual wickedness in high places? What about the small ideas in our own minds which tell us we're not worthy of a simple good thing? And I've been wrestling with this. It speaks to me because I've been wrestling with this. And I think I've been confronted with this really over the past year, dealing with this whole concept of a replenishment cycle, right? So this whole idea, and I sat down with somebody who helps me think through like a replenishment cycle. It was in the broader context of something much bigger. And literally the first thing I thought was, oh, this would be nice. And then they're like, no, I want to watch you put it into your calendar. And I'm like,
do you know my calendar?
New draft, you know, like, like I'll put it in the drafts, you know, like, but that's how intense and significant it is to take care of yourself.
Jesus is the example here, right? Like, I don't think I've ever gone deep enough in he went off to a quiet place to pray. Like, we always use that as a, you know, a sermon point, and like Jesus took time to get alone with God and to take care of himself. But I think it was way deeper than that. Like, I think those were the recorded episodes, but that wasn't an anomaly in Jesus's life. Like, he routinely did that. And we see so many instances of Jesus retreated from the crowd. Like, crowds were clamoring around him.
They were looking for him.
And the reason they had to look for him is he was hard to find. And why was he hard to find? Because he knew he had to take care of his own soul before he could take care of others. And in this work of justice, we focus so much on the externals.
Right.
So much on the changes we're trying to make in the world, which obviously are critically important. But how much do we focus on the changes that need to happen in ourselves to be whole, healthy people who are people of justice, not just working for justice? And I think your boy, I wonder if you know much about his spiritual disciplines of Howard Thurman.
Man, transformative.
Like how did How did he
transformative.
Do it?
Like he actually had a tremendous relationship with nature. Like that was one of the things about Howard Thurman, that he had a tremendous relationship with nature. With, it's even been said, specific trees, like that he would like literally go and sit next to, and there were connections, and it was also a rhythm that he had. And when you think about the depth of his writing, whether it's Meditations of the Heart or Jesus and the Disinherited, when you think about the depth of what he's writing, it comes from his ability to slow down and his ability to actually sit and rest. And as someone has said, you know, to me at one point, I think nature is calling you.
Wow.
That God is calling you through nature to come and sit, to come and be, to come and enjoy.
Yes. Yes.
To come and delight. And I feel like, bro, that feels so, do we got time for that? Is this really what we're, bro, we don't have time not to do that.
It's deeply countercultural, but deeply needed.
Yeah. So I think the message to our audience then is, what are you grieving? What have you lost? What are you trying to find? What have you exerted so much tenacity? And then this is the weird, almost strange, paradoxical concept that you have to hold the tenacity and the recovery at the same time. Like it's just, it feels so anti what you got to choose one.
Right.
But you have to hold both of them at the same time, because we are a people who have been told you can't, but we've been created to be special enough to do both. And we have to do both in order to live and survive and thrive and to be all that God has called us to be. That's just, I'm gonna be chewing on this for a while, because I think this has really settled in my heart that I have to put me first in at least some areas of my life.
Yes. In
the midst of serving others, like when do I receive?
Exactly. And what I like about all this, we talk about self-care, and it's a whole industry. And a lot of times people think it's the massage, it's the yoga retreat, it's cost hundreds of dollars, thousands of dollars. Most of what we've said is free.
Yeah.
Walks in nature.
Yeah.
Slowing down, writing, resting, right? I really think that the God of the universe set up nature and the world to aid and assist in our recovery. So like, I just say that as an encouragement to people who may not often hear that self-care does not mean inaccessibly expensive.
Right.
Right? Like it's accessible, especially because what really matters, I think, when healing and taking care of ourselves and that tenacity and that recovery is not the big things we do occasionally, it's the little things we do daily. It's not that, it's literally not that vacation by the beach that you get once a year or 3.
That you're dreaming about during work.
Which ain't bad.
Mind is wandering.
I mean, do it if you can. But you know, if we pack all of our need for recovery and rest into that one break, we actually won't get a break. Because we'll be torn. We've all experienced this, right? It takes you a couple days to settle in at all.
Yeah, for your body to, like, the cortisol to drop.
Yep. And then by the time it does that, if you're not still worried about the stuff that you're doing and taking a break and the stuff that you're going back to, then as soon as you get everything down to a level where you can rest and recover, it's time to pack up and go home.
Yeah. Then you feel like you're almost exhausted going back home. You need vacation from the vacation. Yeah.
So all I'm saying with that is, not only is it accessible price-wise or, logistically, but it's set up for us to do it daily. And we can have the bigger breaks every now and again, but what really counts in terms of having a sustainable pace is what we're able to, what we demand of ourselves to do daily for healing.
That's so good.
And service.
I think this is going to help a lot of people. I think this is it's helped me. If nobody else, I am the audience. I'm the target audience of this podcast that I am on. And if you are out there trying to figure out what this looks like, I think a tremendous place to start is to map out how can you just spend 30 more minutes a day, reallocate 30 more minutes, budget 30 minutes of your time to do something for you. And maybe if you're especially busy, multiple kids, multiple jobs, all the above, maybe it's just 15 minutes. And then it builds and it grows when you see the benefit and the blessing of sitting in silence and solitude, getting sun in nature, trying to pour back into yourself. And I think the message that I wanted to give is that this stuff is valuable. It's worth fighting for. But I think what you've helped me see is it's also worth resting for too.
That's a word.
Man, well, thank you all so much for tuning in. Obviously, follow us on all the socials. On IG, X. We're also on YouTube as well. Patreon.com/Pass the Mic. And as always, we'll see you soon on the next Pass the Mic.